I'm Nick Forster. You're listening to eTown. Donovan Frankenreiter is going to be back to play some more music later on in the show. And coming up, Donovan Woods is here, wonderful singer-songwriter from Canada. But first, I was on a flight to Nashville a few weeks ago, and I sat next to a young woman who was working on a cattle ranch out on the eastern plains of Colorado. And she was passionate about ranching. She was also passionate about helping young people stay on the farms or on ranches or move to farms and ranches. And we had a great conversation. She's also a singer and songwriter, heading to Nashville to work with her record producer and get signed and so on. So that part of the conversation also happened. But, we've for years been advocates for stewardship in its many forms, looking out for the land that sustains us all. And so it's true that in general, kids who grow up on the farm often leave and head to the cities for work. So I asked my travel companion to leave the ranch and come up here to talk about her work. And she is here now. So please welcome to eTown, Zara Alexandra. Welcome, Zara.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mavis Staples was here. I can't hardly believe it.
Oh man, all the people. Everybody's been here.
Yeah.
And now you.
Yeah. Donovan made the interview part sound pretty easy, but I'm here to make it seem a little harder.
Okay.
So don't just setting the precedent.
I think you're gonna be okay. Don't forget to be close to the mic.
Oh
though.
yeah, as you do.
So did you have chores this morning?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
What time did you get up?
I got up at 5 o'clock, but this is a little unusual because I'm helping neighbor right now. So.
Okay. And what kind of chores did you have?
Just checking water for cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Do you do that on horseback, or do you ride an ATV, or how do you do it?
Truck.
Truck.
We just use a truck, and yeah.
Just make sure there's water.
I use a horse for moving cattle, or sometimes ATVs or dirt bikes, but yeah.
Yeah. And so how big a ranch is it that you're working these days?
Well, these days...
It includes leased land, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to be a creative, which agriculture is more than full-time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pave a new path.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit privileged now because I used to work on big ranches, and I still do. I day work on big ranches, but...
what does that mean, a big ranch? Is that 1,000 acres, 10,000 acres? I don't know.
They can be over 80,000 acres. Yeah.
And so that's a lot of ground to cover.
It's a lot of ground to cover, yeah.
And you're dealing with the weather.
Yeah.
And so in the winter, things are different.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I'm a worker. None of that acreage is mine or will ever be mine. And so when I say privilege, it's because... now I live on my partner's ranch and farm. We're also farm and do direct-to-consumer beef, lamb, and vegetables, CSA. So.
Oh, cool. It's a lot of work. So, but one of the things that we talked about on the airplane was your efforts to try to get, even though you paint a slightly grim picture.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's not grim, but I mean, it's a lot of work. Doing all that stuff, direct-to-consumer beef, lamb, and vegetables through CSA is a lot of work. And so one of your goals is to try to encourage young people to get into that line of work and move to farms and ranches and see what that's like.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So I also work part-time for National Young Farmers Coalition. So I'm the Colorado organizer, and I'm sorry that I painted a grim picture. That was not my... I think sometimes everything can feel really heavy, and this is my personal hat, where in the next 10 or so years, there's going to be a turnover of agricultural land. Most folks that are working as farmers or ranchers are over the age of 57, and so as they start to retire, there's only 12% of people ages 22 to 35, I believe, and that changes, and unfortunately gets smaller. So when
I'm sorry, that percentage is, what did you say? There's only
it's about 12%.
12%
Yeah.
of the population that currently works in agriculture.
That's young.
Between
that's young.
20
yeah,
young people.
That's on the younger scale of
Yeah,
things.
okay.
So newer to the workforce, and it's because it's a really hard job to do, and also that land access is such a hard thing to achieve.
Right.
So
Because land's expensive.
land's expensive, and if you're in the West, water's expensive, and there's a plethora of barriers, and so at National Young Farmers Coalition, we envision a farming and ranching future where farming and ranching is free of racial violence, it puts people over profit, and we're thinking about how we're going to steward the land that's environmentally inclusive because we only got one. So it's really big things to tackle, and I think it's really emotional because it's not just a go home from a job. This is where you live, and you're feeding people. And it sounds like such a niche, but 100% of us eat. That's just the fact. And so we all care. And even if we're not actively caring, we care about it. And if we care about the kids around us, we care because we can hurt the land with farming and ranching, or we could help the land. And I think I accidentally landed in ranching because the way that the grasslands evolved with the prairie is fascinating, and being a grass nerd is wonderful. And we just had a grazing clinic at the ranch, and
That's
there's
cool.
just infinite things you can learn, and every day is different, and every day goes wrong, and there's a 1% profit margin mostly so you have to really love it and really value what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Well, the one thing that I think is attractive, we live in a society where a lot of things are kind of abstract. People do things either online, or they work on behalf of some technology or something that's not right where they are. But there's something very tangible and immediate about working. I mean, not necessarily immediate because you have to be patient with crops and other things, but there's something very tangible about working the land and being immersed in nature in that way. So 2 questions. One is, you talked about access to land. I see the headlines talk about Montana is now being bought up by billionaires who are buying, huge ranches, and that's happening in Wyoming as well and throughout the West.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are they protecting land, or are they just making it less available?
So that's I'm not all-knowing, but in my personal feeling is that the people that know the land and work the land should probably be owning the land, because then it comes to, there's like lords of the land, and you have to appease them, and they don't know anything about it, and they jump in and out, and some of them really do know about it. Okay, actually, I would like to back up. Some of them do know about it, but I think that it just kind of continues this disparity between
Okay.
between everything.
And then the second thing is the organization you mentioned, Young Farmers.
National Young Farmers Coalition.
National Young Farmers Coalition.
Yes, we include ranchers.
And is that an organization that's been around a little while?
It has, yeah. And it's pretty new, but it's been around, I think, for about 20 years, 15 years. Yep.
And you're the Colorado organizer, so that means you do a dog and pony show in different places and tell young people about what it's like to live and work on the land.
My job kind of evolves, and I can't believe I get paid to do this. It's insane to me because I feel like I would do it for free. But another part of it is we talk to senators and congressmen, and we have amazing farmer and rancher advocates that say that we talk about the Farm Bill and getting policy changed so that young folks can have access to land. And so I'm in those meetings, and I'm kind of the moderator, and I also get a word in.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're a lobbyist.
Oh, no. I'm like my Zara hat is very different than my coalition hat. Yeah.
Well, listen, I just, again, as I mentioned at the top, I was just inspired by our conversation on the plane to Nashville. And it's not a perspective I get to be around or hear, and I think it's important to particularly hear from somebody who is a young person. I'm assuming, I don't know how old you are, but...
I think I qualify, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're living and working on the land, and you're a passionate advocate for that lifestyle and for the preservation of the land and for the equitable protection and furtherance of healthy farmlands and ranch lands. So I'm happy you could stop by and share that story with us.
Yeah.
And if people want to learn more about your organization, is there a website?
Yeah, National Young Farmers Coalition.org. Actually, if you're in Boulder, the Flatirons chapter is so awesome. They're active and having lots of different potlucks and hikes and get-togethers so you can support locally. And I know this audience is Boulder, so Flatirons, they're champions. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
National Young Farmers Coalition.org. More
right.
information there. Okay.
Yeah.
And Zara Alexandra is your name.
That's
I want people to know, because you're going to also be putting out a record at some point, and they'll be
Yeah.
hearing your songs, your original songs, and
Yeah.
hearing you sing at some point. So we'll keep an eye out for that too.
Yeah, this will be my second one, and it'll be the real deal coming out
Okay.
with help. It's
Okay.
going to be really exciting.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah.
And I appreciate hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
work.
you so
Thanks.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Zara Alexandra.